Are you terrified of flying? This is gonna blow your mind. On August 7, 2020, Air India Express Flight 1344 crashed in a catastrophic disaster that shocked the world. A storm, a deadly runway, and one split-second decision turned this flight into a nightmare. Could nature have played a role in this tragedy, or was it human error? Let's dive into the terrifying truth behind this deadly crash. Flight 1344 was supposed to be a routine repatriation flight, bringing Indians back home from Dubai. The passengers, a mix of workers, families, and individuals, had been eagerly waiting for this moment. Many had been stranded for months due to the global pandemic, and this flight represented a beacon of hope, a chance to finally reunite with their loved ones. The anticipation was palpable as they boarded the plane, each step bringing them closer to home. For many, this journey was not just a flight but a lifeline, a bridge between despair and hope. The air was filled with a mix of emotions, relief, excitement, and a touch of anxiety about the journey ahead. But what was meant to be a safe journey quickly turned into a terrifying ordeal. As the plane ascended, the weather began to change dramatically. Dark storm clouds loomed ominously on the horizon, and turbulence started to shake the aircraft. The passengers, initially filled with relief and joy, began to feel a growing sense of unease. The flight crew, trained for such situations, remained calm and composed, but the severity of the storm was beyond anyone's expectations. The plane rocked and swayed, and the once comforting hum of the engines now seemed like a distant memory. The sky outside turned a menacing shade of gray, and lightning flashed intermittently, casting eerie shadows inside the cabin. The plane was carrying 165 passengers, including workers and families, all desperate to reunite with loved ones. Among them were children excited to see their grandparents, parents anxious to hold their babies, and friends looking forward to sharing stories of their time apart. Each passenger had a story, a reason for being on that flight, and a heart full of anticipation for the reunion that awaited them. The cabin was a microcosm of human emotions, with each face telling a different story. Some passengers clutched photos of their loved ones while others whispered prayers, hoping for a safe journey. The children, oblivious to the brewing storm, played with their toys, their laughter a stark contrast to the growing tension among the adults. And behind the cockpit, the experienced crew, unaware of the storm waiting for them, went through their pre-flight checks with precision and care. The pilots, seasoned veterans of the skies, had navigated many challenging flights before. The cabin crew, dedicated to ensuring the safety and comfort of the passengers, moved efficiently through their routines. Little did they know, this flight would test their skills and resilience like never before. As the plane continued its journey, the storm grew fiercer, and the true test of their training and courage was about to begin. The pilots communicated with air traffic control, seeking updates and guidance, while the cabin crew reassured passengers, their calm demeanor masking the growing concern. The plane's instruments beeped and flashed, indicating the severity of the storm, and the crew braced themselves for the challenges ahead. The passengers, sensing the tension, held onto their seats, their hearts pounding with every jolt and shake of the aircraft. The journey that began with hope and anticipation was now a battle against nature's fury, a test of human endurance and spirit. The flight began like any other, a smooth takeoff from Dubai, and everything appeared normal. The passengers relaxed as they soared above the Arabian Sea, heading toward Kozhikode, India. But as they neared their destination, an ominous shift began. The storm clouds gathered, darkening the skies, signaling the horror that awaited them. As the plane approached Kozhikode, the storm intensified. The rain started pouring down, making visibility nearly impossible. The winds howled. The runway, short and surrounded by cliffs, seemed like a daunting challenge. The crew was trained for emergencies, but no amount of preparation could prepare them for what was coming. As the aircraft descended, the pilots were in a race against time. The heavy rain, strong tailwinds, and slippery runway created the perfect storm for disaster. The situation was now critical. The plane was too fast, too heavy, and there was no room for mistakes. Then, the unthinkable happened. Dark, ominous clouds gathered, casting a shadow over the airport. The atmosphere was thick with tension. The air was heavy, almost suffocating, as if nature itself was holding its breath. People on the ground looked up, their faces a mix of concern and fear. The storm was brewing, and it was clear that something terrible was about to unfold. The aircraft touched down on the wet runway, but the plane was out of control. The rain had turned the tarmac into a slick, treacherous surface. The wheels struggled for grip, skidding and sliding as the pilots fought to regain control. The sound of screeching tires filled the air, echoing the panic inside the cockpit. The passengers clutched their armrests, eyes wide with terror. Despite the pilot's best efforts, the plane skidded off the runway and went flying into the valley below. The descent was rapid and chaotic. The aircraft tumbled and turned, the ground rushing up to meet it. Inside, the passengers were thrown about, their screams mingling with the roar of the engines. It was a descent into chaos, a nightmare unfolding in real time. The crash was violent, the sound of metal tearing apart, flames bursting from the wreckage. The impact was jarring, a bone-rattling collision. The once mighty aircraft was now a twisted heap of metal, engulfed in flames. The smell of burning fuel and scorched earth filled the air. It was a scene of utter devastation, a tragic end to what should have been a routine landing. Everything happened in seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Faces contorted in fear and pain, movements slowed to a crawl. Time seemed to stretch, each moment a snapshot of horror. The world moved in slow motion, capturing every detail of the disaster. The cries of the injured, the frantic efforts of the rescuers, all played out in a surreal, nightmarish tableau. It was a moment frozen in time, etched into the memories of all who witnessed it. In the aftermath, rescue teams rushed to the burning wreckage, but the heat of the flames made it nearly impossible to save everyone. 21 lives were tragically lost, and the survivors, many with serious injuries, were taken to nearby hospitals. Passengers who were once strangers became heroes, helping each other survive the chaos. In the wake of the disaster, the investigation began. Emergency response teams worked tirelessly to secure the area, ensuring that no further harm could come to those involved. The scene was chaotic, with debris scattered over a wide area, making the task even more daunting. Investigators meticulously combed through the debris, looking for any clues that could explain what had gone so terribly wrong. Every piece of wreckage was examined, cataloged, and analyzed in the hopes of uncovering the truth behind the tragedy. The official report detailed a series of unfortunate events. Investigators reviewed flight logs, weather reports, and maintenance records, piecing together the sequence of events that led to the disaster. Each document provided a piece of the puzzle, revealing a complex interplay of factors that culminated in the crash. The team worked around the clock, driven by a shared commitment to uncover the truth and prevent future tragedies. Deadly weather, human error, and a dangerous runway created the perfect storm. The pilots faced a harrowing situation, battling turbulent conditions and poor visibility. The weather reports indicated severe thunderstorms in the area, with high winds and heavy rain making navigation extremely difficult. The runway itself was slick and hazardous, adding to the already challenging conditions. The pilots' training and experience were put to the ultimate test as they struggled to maintain control of the aircraft. Despite their best efforts, the storm proved insurmountable. The airplane struggled against the violent weather, and the pilots' attempts to stabilize the aircraft were in vain. The cockpit was a scene of intense focus and determination, with the pilots working together to navigate through the storm. However, the forces of nature were too powerful, and the aircraft was ultimately overwhelmed. The tragic outcome was a stark reminder of the unpredictable and often unforgiving nature of weather. Could it have been prevented? Investigators and aviation experts analyzed safety protocols, seeking answers and solutions to prevent future tragedies. They examined every aspect of the flight, from pre-flight checks to emergency procedures, looking for any gaps or weaknesses in the system. The discussions were intense and thorough, with experts from various fields contributing their knowledge and insights. The goal was to learn from the disaster and implement changes that would enhance the safety and reliability of air travel. The investigation's findings were presented at aviation safety conferences. Training programs were updated and protocols revised to enhance preparedness for extreme weather conditions. The aviation community came together to share knowledge and experiences, fostering a culture of continuous improvement and vigilance. The lessons learned from the disaster were integrated into training curricula, ensuring that future pilots and crews would be better equipped to handle similar situations. The commitment to safety and excellence was evident in every aspect of the response, reflecting a collective determination to prevent such tragedies from occurring again.